Iliopsoas is two muscles that pretty much work together. So let's look at psoas first. It actually originates on the sides of the body of the vertebrae and some slips from the discs. So there's a big one on each side of the spine here, coming down, goes across the floor of the pelvis, comes over this called the ramus of the pubic bone, and then it dives back to, this is the lesser trochanter, which is on the inner upper posterior femur, lesser trochanter. So what I want you to see is that it actually has quite a bit of movement from back to front. So it's back here on the spine, it comes forward over the pubic bone, and then dives back to the lesser trochanter. So back to front to back. Isn't that interesting? So it's a long muscle, and it's quite large. One of my students is a OB/GYN surgeon, so she's back there in the back of the abdomen a lot, and she says that each psoas is almost as big as the owner of the body's wrist. Yep, so it's potentially quite a large muscle. Psoas. And then iliacus originates, has a hint in its name, so it originates here on this inner rim of the ilium. And then it goes with psoas, the two of them together, over the pubic bone and posterior to the lesser trochanter. So when they contract, they are going to flex the hip. And they also, can you imagine, it's going to pull this lesser trochanter forward. So what kind of rotation is that going to be of the hip? External. And it also does a little bit of abduction. Okay, so iliopsoas, if it's allowed to get shorter and shorter, is going to contribute to what kind of tilt on the pelvis? Anterior tilt. So I want to make a big point out of this because sometimes people think, so they have a hyperextended lumbar and they think the only thing they need to do about this is strengthen the abs. And that is important to strengthen the abs. But if iliopsoas is short, can you see how it's still going to win the battle and pull the lumbar spine and pull the pelvis into an anterior tilt? So I've known that to happen. People have worked the heck out of their abs, but as soon as they stand up and the short muscle's pulling, they're right back at it again. So we want to stretch the psoas. We want to lengthen it. So how in yoga do we go about stretching and lengthening? Well, I'll just say the hip flexors, because we know that it's not just iliopsoas, right? Yeah, so how do we go about stretching it? Huh?
Shin up the wall.
So shin up the wall, but you have to get through any tight quads first before you get to the iliopsoas. So that's big for rectus femoris, and you love it, don't you? Yes, but if you remember how strong these guys are, then lots of times, as a teacher, I've talked till I'm blue in the face, and the people that have a big hyperextension, they hear me, they understand me, but iliopsoas is winning the battle. So I think the best way to stretch it is to do one leg at a time. And that would be lunges and warrior one, right? Am I not going to stretch iliopsoas when I'm in warrior one?